This is the Pro Wrestling Reflection Podcast with your host, the Professor Chalbello Veracruz.
What a run!
Mr. Wonderful Tommy Wonder.
And I will take the powers of those that have no fear!
And the prodigal one, JB.
The cream, the cream of the crop.
Now it's time to go back in time in the time machine.
The American Dream! That's Too sweet!
The living legend, Bruno Sammartino.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man. Woo! Look at this. I don't believe it.
Happy New Year, Reflectionites! Happy New Year, Big Vitoites! Happy New Year to the solitary confinement PWCites! Happy New Year to the Magnificent Seven, the Elite Eight, the Naughty Nine! Happy New Year to Christopher Paul Bruce Windman, Greenpeace, Phyllis Scott Wood, Donnie Day One! You know who you are, Michael Davis, Jeff Lipman, Steve Pena, the SNS Express, you know who you are. And for the 12 that ride strong, maybe the 14 that ride strong, oh, I can't forget 10 Couponer, Josh Floberg, the ultimate of ultimates, who always keeps TW with the coupons of all the action figures that TW can get. You know, that's his heroin, action figures. But anyway, neither here nor there, that's 2025 resolutions. But again, Happy New Year to everybody. And hopefully it was a safe and joyous Christmas. Hopefully it was a safe and joyous New Year's celebration. But we got work to do. We are back on our schedule. We are back on the scene, and we are back to do what we do best, talk about nostalgia. But it's kind of funny about this nostalgia that we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes, Reflectionites. But it's been a whole year. I haven't introduced myself because I've been vain like that. I haven't introduced myself because I got older and all that stuff. So without further ado, don't do that. I'm not. Oh, Jesus Christ. But anyway, I am the. Oh, see, TW is already. Yes, I know, but you keep messing me up because I keep looking at you. Things are falling.
Choking.
He's choking. He's dying. You know, it never ends. After after like 8 years of doing this together, TW still makes me freeze, makes me mess up. But we do it live, Reflectionites. We do it live. I am the charismatic one. I am the effervescent one. But most importantly, I am the glorious one. The only objective man in this IWC, YWC, and PWC punditry. The only objective man in this political hemisphere. The only objective man that will be at Trump's inauguration, edifying Republicans, edifying the Democrats. I will edify AOC. I will edify Nancy Grace. I will edify Marjorie Taylor Greene. I will edify Nancy Pelosi, whether she likes it or not. I am the Professor Chabelle Cruz, and I'm not here alone. No. I am here doing another year of this with my brother from another mother, the conservative liberal, the liberal conservative, dumb doing idiots on the iron stomach one, Dr. Frickenstein, Mr. Wonderful, and still the undisputed, and still the undefeated, and still the undisputed Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the World, the Tommy Wonder, and he still is on Christmas hangover with that god-awful shirt. How you doing, my friend, and Happy New Year?
Hey, man, Elvis for life. For life. You know, this movie is almost, it's 25. It's 20 years old. Well, probably around Christmas time it'll be 20 years old. But still, 2005. That's insane. My daughters asked me, how long you been watching that movie? And I'm like, let me see. And I go, apparently 19 years. And I will watch it 19 more, God willing.
You know what's funny? You say that. It's like I watch Independence Day, and that's 1997, and now we're in 2025. Yeah, every year on 4th of July. But it's one of the best movies ever. I watched Starship Troopers from 19. No, I hate the second. I kind of watch a little bit here and there, but I just don't. I don't get it. Like,
I bought them at the 4th of July to watch them on the 4th of July, and I still didn't watch them. I mean, I've seen Independence Day, never seen number 2. I watch Groundhog Day every year. It's coming up on Groundhog's Day. I watch The Wizard of Oz on Halloween every year, and I watch Christmas movie all through Christmas. But look what I did. This isn't wrestling related, but I was in Kentucky in November, and I saw this at Target. And didn't buy it, and I thought, oh, if I seen it here, I'll see it everywhere. And then I found out, no, it's $45, $50, $60 on the eBay. Not yesterday, the other day, I happened to
Cobra Commander.
The OG though. These are just like the ones we grew up with. Look at that. And I got them, and I snatched them up from a Walmart. Sucks at wrestling figures and toys, but I found it. I got it for the standard $24.88.
Reflectionites, it's 2025, and the addiction is still there. I'm trying to help him. I'm trying to give it
I got myself that for Christmas, man.
I'm just saying, Josh is giving you the crack of all those coupons for the action figures. I'm trying to tell Josh to stop. But anyway, neither here nor there. But TW, it's 2025, and we're going episodic for the first of the 2025 season, if you will, because we're up to episode 191, Donnie Day 1. You know what? Remember, TW, the resolution is tell Donnie to catch up. I do not want to see fireworks in 2025. No, I don't want to see thunder. I don't want to see the sun coming up. I don't want to see anything. Just because you haven't. Oh, Jesus Christ.
You said no sun, I brought rain.
I didn't ask for anything. I don't want no weather. Is that all right? I don't want no weather related shit. Jesus Christ. Can you stop?
It don't work no more, man.
You've been hurting for doing that for a long time. But anyway, let's talk about episode 191, Reflectionites. I know you've missed us. I know you missed TW shenanigans. The audio Reflectionites knows that the professor is right now, going crazy. He's turning red right now. But the video Reflectionites is loving this. TW, please stop. Please.
It's not working.
For the love of God, please stop. All right, we got a thumbs up. That's it. Let's get into episode 191. 9 episodes away from the elusive
191 dirt.
191 dirt. But anyway, it's funny and it's apropos, TW, that for episode 191, I'm doing my Travis Volts rule. 10 years and above. And Reflectionites, I cannot believe it's been 10 years since this particular event. Give or take. I know if we go logistically, we gotta wait till August of 2025. But no. 2025, 2015, that's 10. That's mathematics. But anyway, I was there. Billy Ray Valentine was there. A-Track Brown was there. The PW Hustle was there for this epic moment. And that moment for episode 191, Reflectionites, we are going to talk about TW's favorite time period in professional wrestling lore. But we're going to talk about NXT Takeover Brooklyn Part 1. From the hollow halls of the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York in 2015. And TW, before we even talk about this, before we even talk about the matches and all this stuff, I wanted to do NXT TakeOver for basically 2 reasons. One, again, the 10-year rule for Travis Volts. And number 2, that, since NXT is on the CW network, since NXT is being, it's in the hands of the Heartbreak Kids, HBK, Shawn Michaels, and he's molding those kids, nurturing those kids, whatever the case may be, like Trick Williams, like Roxanne Perez, like Julia. Even though when I say kids, I'm just being not redundant, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about, TW. But he is nurturing these future WWE superstars, if you will, TW. But for NXT 2015. It was under the guidance of Triple H, Paul Levesque. And Triple H, and I guess we could talk about this, TW, and I want to get your thoughts on this because you always talk about a certain time period of NXT, and everybody, unanimously says the best time period is the black and gold era. Black and gold era of Triple H. And I was there for Takeover Brooklyn 1 at the Barclays Center. I actually went to 3 straight takeovers in the Barclays Center, but neither here nor there. But the black and gold TW, Triple H, he was on a mission to recruit the indie darlings, to recruit the guys and gals who did not get, who couldn't maybe make it on the TNA platform, who couldn't maybe make it on the ROH platform, who couldn't make it on the PWG platform. But Triple H was watching, Steven Regal was watching, and they brought him to NXT. And that time period, TW, let's say from 2014 to maybe, I'll be nice, 2019, the black and gold era, if you will, with all those people coming in and all that stuff. I know you're going to name those names even in 2019, but that's flash shit right now. But this was a magical time for the wrestling fan because, again, some wrestling fans, Reflectionites, was jaded because of Vince McMahon and the way he was running Raw. They were jaded by what they were seeing on SmackDown on a Friday or Thursday or Friday, whatever the case may be, TW. But you might have been pissed on Monday. You might have been pissed on Friday, but you was amped for Wednesday and amped for the WWE Network and amped for that 1 hour of NXT. So what's AETW? Because this was what you always said, the black and gold was the greatest time period for wrestling in the 2010s.
This, for me, is just before the black and gold. Like, for me, the black and gold is Undisputed Era, Tommaso Ciampa, and Gargano. Mm-hmm. This is like black and silver, but not the shit they did after they did the NXT Ferndale, after they killed the black and gold, or San Francisco. But this, I think we talked about this many times, where I say this made me a wrestling fan again. It was NXT that made me excited to watch and to watch it live and not want spoilers from whatever. Whereas everything else I just watch on the DVR and skip through and whatever, and nothing made me really want to go to see a show live. And now here we are 11 years later in 2025, and I've still not seen NXT live. The first chance I get, I will. And for all those people that think I do nothing but hate on AEW, the 2 times I've been to Detroit, I've been there for both of them. They were blood and guts. They were terrible, but I was still there. And NXT came here one time, and it sold out in 8 minutes. But it was at a very small concert theater, that like a converted movie theater that became a concert theater. Okay. And it sold out in 8 minutes. So I was like, well, I ain't going to that. And but it had something that for me was not normal. I didn't know anybody there. Normally I'm watching Impact or WWE or that's it. That's all there really was. I watched those because people I came up with were on it, or people that came up after I came up. On my end years, like the Machine Guns, they were starting out when I was winding down. So I would cheer for all the Canadian guys that I knew in Impact, and the Edges and Christians and Rhinos and all the stuff they were doing. And then NXT started, and if you recall, when they started touring, which is not, that's probably what, 2018, 17, when they tried touring, and then COVID fucking ruined it.
I would say 2018-ish, 19. Yeah, you could say.
And Triple H wanted to hire Rhino to be on the tours so that he could teach these guys how to work live audiences, or, because that Full Sail shit is almost like Impact doing a Hollywood, Florida. They're not, now they are, but they weren't really wrestling fans. They were people that just went and saw a free show on Wednesday night, but ended up becoming fans. You know what I mean? And NXT was just, it reminded me, obviously it's not the same as 80s wrestling, but it reminded me of how I felt when I watched 80s wrestling, where I had favorites and I had guys I didn't like. And it wasn't because I just didn't like them, like when I didn't like CM Punk. It was like they were a good heel, and I loved. Actually, really, I just liked everybody, but I liked seeing the heel do their part. I like seeing the heel put the guys over in the end, but also get a win every now and again to elevate them, to make them a bigger heel. And NXT did it all, man. Like, them takeover started, they could do no wrong.
No, I agree with that. It's just that, Reflectionites and TW, we have to, be logistically truthful here, because remember, NXT under Vince McMahon was you got America's Got Talent, the way he did it with the Bryan Danielsons and the Wade Barretts, and put them through all these kind of like minuscule kind of like challenges. It was game. Well, Tough Enough was actually more respectful than what they did on NXT. Right. It just looked like shit. But anyway,
this looked like hazing.
So when Triple H was like, Vince McMahon probably just said to Triple H, here, you run this. Let me see what you can do, because if you want to have my spot, if you want to take over, if you will, no pun intended, but if you want to take over and get the reins from me, I got to see what you do with NXT. Now, again, NXT did lose money year over year. We can't deny that because they were in smaller venues. The production is high.
And a lot of it was free.
Yeah, that too. With the, like you said, full sale, weekly full sales, either reduced prices or free to come in, whatever in the first couple of years. But again, that's just logistics. But they were losing money year over year. And of course, the crop of talent that Triple H wanted, and whether you could say he like plucked them out, like being a vulture, TW, again. But I'm talking about 2015 right now. I'm not talking about, I know you're talking about Ciampa and Gargano, but this crop in 2015, he got Finn Balor, he got Shinsuke, he got Samoa Joe, he got Eric Young, he got, a who's who, even Baron, even Apollo Crews, when he mattered the most, he got him at the right time and all that stuff. So even the roster TW was stacked for that small full sale crowd. And then that's why people were hungry for the takeovers. That's why I wanted to go to the Takeover Brooklyn 3 straight years, because 10,000 people are screaming NXT. So TW, what say you again? The crop of talent from the golden era of NXT, the black and gold. I know you say it's not, 2015 is black and gold. I'm sorry. But when you get Finn Balor, when you get Kenta, when you get Samoa Joe, when you get Baron Corbin, when you get Apollo Crews, and then a year later you get Bobby Roode and all that stuff, what say you, TW? Because the talent was there.
It's great, and I take offense to the plucking, because every single one of those guys, someone else.
No, I'm just saying people.
I'm not saying you.
Yes,
I'm talking about the nerds that said it. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them could have had, just like what goes on with AEW now when they're bitching about Julia, but didn't offer her a contract. The reason she could sign with NXT is because you didn't offer them a contract, and you're gonna be mad because you used them on a one-off show and then they got a job off of it.
No. Oh no, you mean Stephanie Vaquer?
Yeah. Well, both of them came at the same time, and then the other one, the fucking second come of Valkyrie. What's her name? Tara Valkyrie.
Zarya. Zarya.
Yeah, all these people could have got signed by anybody and got signed by WWE. They didn't get outbid. They got offered jobs. The same McMahon guarantee of, I'll give you this, and then you'll make more money if we make more money. That was their deal. Signing with the WWE, including today, you're probably signing for less than what Tony Khan will offer you. But you're signing for the fucking potential to be the fucking guy that headlines the fucking WrestleMania, and you get a payday of what you would have made in a year somewhere else.
You're right. So we have to be fair, TW, because again, even in 2015, for the people who did come with the names and the reputations, now technically Reflectionites, the wrestling world knows them, but what TW is saying and what I'll expound on, maybe they get a little bit of less money with the NXT deal, but it goes back to that hustle. I'm offering you opportunity. I'm offering you a bigger platform, so this way you could apply your trade and then make the Roman Reigns money and then make the John Cena money and all that stuff. But again, TW, as a wrestler, let's just say Los Rudos and all that stuff, Calavera Cortez is kicking ass in the 2010s, and then you see, NXT crop up. Now, I'm not saying what you would do. I think you probably would take the deal and say, I'm going to give it all and all that stuff. But there are wrestlers with a little bit of a pride, a little bit of an ego saying, wait a minute, I'm in the Indies right now. I can go to Japan, I can go to UK, I can go to Zimbabwe, and then come back to California, and then I can make 3 times as much with that schedule instead of this NXT performance deal, which is like maybe 25% less of what I can take home myself yearly. So TW, some people will have that kind of ego, or they have that confidence in themselves saying, no, I don't want to take the NXT deal, because people did refuse that NXT deal because they thought it was an insult. What's ATW as the wrestler?
Yeah, there's a reason it's called foolish pride, because if you're those guys, right, and you're wrestling, Japan's different, because when you go to Japan, you go there for 2 weeks and you wrestle fucking every day except for 1 or 2, right? There's like a long travel day at each side of it, and then you wrestle a shit ton. So you're going to get better, right? But it's also the Japanese style. It ain't the U.S. style. And then you go to UK, you're probably doing a couple fucking shows with 1,000 people, 2,000 people, whatever. But you come back to the California show, and now, let's say in 1 month, you wrestled, if we're counting Japan, we'll say 10 times, and then the other 2 weeks, you wrestled 4 times. So you wrestled 14 times in a month, and you made more money than you did if you'd have just signed with NXT. Whereas if you sign with NXT, you are sitting on 0 airplanes, 0 buses. You're not driving in a car for fucking 4 hours. You're staying in a fucking facility that's state of the art, and you are going to get better just by being there. And you're going to wrestle once a week on TV if you're lucky, because you might not even make that 1 hour card, but you're going to wrestle in a dark match. And then they wrestle around that area in high school gyms like they are the indies. And you're putting no wear and tear on your body other than the bumps. And then if you play your cards right, you're going to Raw or SmackDown, and then you're going to hopefully have a chance to rule the frickin' world. Instead, you're going to do the hamster wheel for more money, and you're not getting a Legends contract at the end of it. You're not signing autographs at the damn Autorama, because those are all Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jimmy Hart. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking at the big picture, because eventually you're going to run out of gas, right? You're going to physically break down, and you're going to lose the desire to pinball around the world. And here's the other thing. Once you've done it a few times, it ain't the same. And now it's work. It's, I got to go to Japan again. Yeah, you're excited as a pig in shit the first time. You're excited the second time because they called you back. That means they liked you. But now you're a year into it, and you're going once a month, every month for 2 years. It's going to get old. So we'll be staying in Orlando every week or whatever. But you probably could also take a booking in Virginia or Carolina or Georgia. They'll probably let you just to get out and say, I'm out of here.
I understand your philosophy, but remember, this is 2015, so we have to be fair here. That we're, again, if you're going to be in NXT, you're going to be in NXT, and like you said, the high schools and all that stuff. You can't be booked anywhere else. And we're not. This ain't the. It's still the Vince McMahon mantra of what goes on. But anyway,
you're going to wrestle every day in that performance center, and you are going to get better. And then I got one last point.
Okay, go ahead.
What is the fundamental difference between WWE and AEW? Like, what's the biggest glaring thing AEW has that the WWE has it, but not nearly on the scale that AEW does?
Is this a trick question?
Injuries. And the reason they're getting injured is because they're wrestling once, twice, maybe 3 times a week. So when they get back, look at the NFL. They do 2 preseason games now, and no one plays in them. So what do you have for 18 weeks? I just lost my dude for the year, Montgomery. Everyone's getting, every week, someone has some catastrophic injury because they're not doing preseason anymore. People don't understand. They did preseason for a reason. So that when they got to the season 1, it's like we do kindergarten. We don't learn how to read and write in kindergarten. We learn how to get along with motherfuckers. And in first grade, let's roll up our sleeves and learn how to speak and write and count and do all that. When AEW first came out, everyone's excited. They're doing all this crazy shit. And I'm not even talking about the dumb bumps like Darby Allin. Guys just get... Adam Cole has been hurt twice from jumping a rail or hopping off the ramp. Punk broke his ankle hopping off the rail because they're once a week, and then they go out there full bore when their body's like, hold up, man, we ain't done this in a week, and you get hurt. And that's why you go WWE, you become a well-oiled machine. Those guys, like I told you, I'm going to the holiday show, the tour.
Well, you've been to the holiday show.
Yeah, I've been to it, but I'm telling you when I was selling it to my buddy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been to SmackDown. He's been to Raw. His 12-year-old, or he might even be 14 now. His son has been to Raw. He's been to SmackDown. He's been to SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's been to a house show, which I've been telling him all along. If you ask any wrestler, which one should I go to that's going to be the most fun for my kid or for my friend who I'm trying to turn on to the wrestling business, they're going to tell you a house show every single time. It's old school NWA. As this guy's walking down the aisle, this guy's leaving. And they pass each other. Remember they used to start feuds that way? They'd bump into each other when one guy just lost and he was mad and he attacked the guy coming in the ring. That's what it is. It's that. And guess what was like that? Full circle. NXT Black and Gold was that old school boom, 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 match. And the best thing about it, 1 hour every week made you want to turn in next week because you couldn't get enough in 1 hour. And then what was TakeOver? It was 2 or 2.5 hours, right?
2.5 hours, yeah.
And it was 5 matches, and it flew by, and it was so it was Clash of Champions, man. That's what Clash of Champions. You watch WCW Saturday nights, boring ass for 3-4 months, and then you get an awesome Clash of the Champions that's free on cable. It's awesome.
I'm not gonna argue on about that, but right now, just one more thing, TW, before we get into the matches of TakeOver, because again, there was like 4 or 5 matches here, but the PW hustle was there. So I just want to give you the ambiance of why we were in the suites. So we were drinking, we were eating. It was all free, so it was good. It was good stuff. But anyway, the atmosphere of this NXT Takeover, TW, because again, people were starving to see NXT in a different venue. Because again, you were seeing all the stuff, like you said, Full Sail and all that stuff. They got a taste of it in 2014 when they did like nobody saw it. It wasn't on the WWE network. It wasn't televised. There's no Coliseum home video. There was no DVD release. If there is, I haven't seen it. But in 2014, they did kind of like a takeover, but they didn't call it that. I forgot the matches, but it was a success. So once Triple H knew that, he knew that he had to get it on the network. He knew he had to get it in an arena bigger than the 300 at Full Sail. I don't know how many people hold Full Sail, but I'm just saying 300 for some strange reason. But Barclays Center was the perfect venue. Brooklyn was the perfect atmosphere because when we were there, TW, and I kid you not, what was going on in 2015, TW, there was a couple of, one of the shirts that indie people wore during ROH was that me or you?
It's the furnace.
Oh, okay. That's a loud ass furnace. But anyway, it just caught me off guard. But anyway, one of the indie shirts that you had to wear at ROH and all that stuff? The Bullet Club. So you saw a lot of Bullet Club. But I kid you not, when you was at NXT, you would see not only Bullet Club, but you would see NXT shirts. You did not really see a lot of the main roster shirts. You saw Enzo Amore shirts, the SAWF shirts. You saw like when Finn Balor came out, you had the Finn Balor shirts. You had the Kevin Owens shirts. The NXT, you was wearing NXT logo shirts. And during the 3 takeovers, I think I bought a couple of shirts. I bought a Bobby Roode shirt. I bought an Adam Cole Undisputed Era shirt. And I bought the Revival before they were called FTR. So I'm just giving you I was amped up because of the people that were on those shows. Right. I bought a shirt for that. And I was wearing my shirt proudly and all that stuff. So TW, what say you again? Because the NXT effect, because the positive is for you, like you said, it's an hour and you can't wait till next week. But there is a drawback. And that is Monday and Fridays during the Vince McMahon era. Not only for you, TW, the watcher, but the wrestler too, because these matches you saw, they were happy. They could be creative. They could do all the bumps. They could do all the, let's say, the
spots,
the spots they want to. But then when you graduate to the main roster, Vince McMahon has got to change you and to do something either, to minimize your physical attributes, if you will, TW. So what say you? Because there is a drawback, because you was happy in NXT, and some people just got pissed off once they got on the main roster. What say you when you analyze that?
Because it's like you call it the developmental, and they develop these characters. Like, if you're going to change them, do it there. Don't get them there, get them over, and then fire them up to the main roster, and then they're just the shits. You know, it's funny because it's revisionist history. All along, while we're watching this stuff happen, we felt like, man, they fucking ruin every NXT guy. But if you actually sit here, you just mentioned 2 guys that are NXT guys that are thriving in the fucking Raw and SmackDown, and Finn Balor and Kevin Owens. And all 4 of the 4 horsewomen thrived. Elias did good. Ricochet did good, but apparently it wasn't enough because his fucking black hole charisma didn't win a world title. But the guy had 2 U.S. titles. I think he was a tag champ with somebody. He did a lot. And for everyone to act like he didn't do shit in WWE is dumb. But then you have the guys like even Cameron Grimes. He wasn't super over there. The best one is, and this is when it all starts to change, the best one for the worst one is my dude, who I did not like at all, and then loved him in NXT, was LA Knight coming up as Max Dupree. It was like, what the fuck? And it was god awful. It was he gave it his all, and that's why he's still there now and got to go back to LA Knight. But he was the one that broke that damn stupid curse, if you will, because the other guys, like Seth Rollins, is an NXT guy. There's so many guys. The Shield, they're running both companies, but there's so many success stories. But the bad ones are so bad that you forget all the success ones because you're so like, what the fuck? Why did you even invest in him in NXT if you're just going to throw him like all those dudes that became like Mia Yim and Dryzak, whatever the fuck is Drobek, whatever, that became that fucking T-Bar and all that stuff.
Oh, Donovan Dijak, yeah.
Dijak. All those guys, Dijak and Keith Lee were just tearing it up. And then they bring them up and just fucking T-Bar? Like what? Why even tell everyone you're bringing them up?
But again, that's the positive and the negative in NXT. Right. The smile on your face.
Luckily, in 2025, that shit is no mas.
There you go. So again, with that being said, the PW Hustle experience, I got to see an NXT Wednesday show because I got to see Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. I hate that name. I think I might say Big Bill. But anyway, neither here nor there. I remember when they were there and then Enzo.
Big Cass. Just call him Big Cass.
I'll call it Big Cass. But again, Big Cass and Enzo Amore TW, they were tearing. This is before the pay-per-view. They were tearing the house down. And then when 10,000 people saying SAWFT soft and all that stuff. But TW, one more thing before we start, at least talk about one of the matches or a couple of the matches. We got to talk about, again, I don't want to, you said the word I like, revisionist history, but it is history nonetheless. I always said that, especially for women's wrestling Reflectionites, that at least the ball got rolling in total nonstop action. TNA wrestling, because they prioritized women's wrestling. They respected women's wrestling to a degree with Gail Kim and Awesome Kong. But TW, I bet TW will say that NXT women knocked it out of the park with the 4 horsewomen, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Bayley, and all that stuff. So TW, what say you? Because again, a lot of, I don't know, I don't want to say revisionist history, but thanks to NXT and thanks to Triple H putting the respect back into women's wrestling. Again, you got to say I'm not saying he took it from TNA wrestling, but he said, there's money to be made for women's wrestling. And he wanted to put an emphasis on it because it was not, again, the positives and negatives. It was night and day. Monday and Friday, it was bra and panties matches. But on Wednesday, you got at least a 15-minute match between Sasha and Bayley on Wednesday. What say you, TW, about that?
I'm going to defend that for 1 second. Because, and it's their fault too. However, a lot of the girls that did those bra and panty matches and nightgown matches and all that weren't wrestlers. They weren't chicks that grew up like Bayley and AJ Lee who fucking worship wrestling and wanted to be one. They were models, fitness models. They were Price is Right fucking hosts. They were Wheel of Fortune fucking letter turners. They were that kind of stuff. So they didn't have the ability to do what some of these girls are doing now, right? And I've said it to you. I'll watch NXT and I'll look. They got girls that are extras that they get cycled in and out. They got so many girls in NXT that I was like, dude, there are more girls in NXT right now than there were my entire 10 years wrestling on the road. Okay. There was never, and so that's one of the hard things. If you have TNA having the Knockouts division and they get to wrestle, and meanwhile WWE has 4 girls and they're Stacy Keibler, Tori Wilson,
Tori Wilson, Candice Michelle.
Yeah, when you have them, the Doritos girl, when you got those girls, of course you're going to go to Impact, no matter how much money they give you. But now that they have a lot, you at least, and this is going to be sad for her, but like Tegan Knox, that girl got released twice. Chelsea Green got released once, and then when she came back, she's the first ever United States Women's Champion, right? So God bless Tegan Knox. She got hurt a lot, so that didn't help. But you got so many women now to choose from that you can actually cut some. Before you didn't cut women. And I love Indy Hartwell right there. Right up there. I love her. But she's the Cesaro and Ricochet of women. She's not a good talker. She doesn't have charisma. And I think probably the reason I like her is because she was with Gargano and Austin Theory and Candice Michelle, God bless her. Not Candice Michelle, Candice LaRue, whatever the fuck her name is.
Candice LeRae.
If she ain't married Gargano, she's probably cut too. But she stuck around long enough that they're actually using her now. So she's getting a chance to show whatever she did on the indies to get her signed in the first place, right? So it's a much better place to attempt, especially in 2015. You got the 4 horsewomen. It's a much better place for wrestling to attempt to push it than what they had prior to that. But we still got to give credit where credit's due. It didn't sustain because there wasn't enough of them. Lita and Trish deserve credit for being the ones to say, what the fuck you mean we can't go out there and do headlocks and arm drags and whatever, and finally did it. And Jackie, she helped. Victoria, those guys set the table for the 4 horsewomen and all the women afterwards that are just lighting it up now. They're just tearing it up now.
And let's not forget Reflectionites, the greatest of them all, Eva Marie. She never got her never got her props. She never got her flowers. But the professor over here,
Uncle Pop, right there.
But the professor will always give her flowers. But anyway, let's get into this NXT
Speaking
Takeover.
Of fitness models that can't go. Anyway, good.
What do you mean can't go? She
was fucking god awful.
She can wrestle a broom and make it 5 stars. But anyway,
Alicia Fox looked like Ric Flair of women.
I will not take any crap what you're saying about Eva Marie. But anyway, let's get into this NXT Takeover right now, TW. And what a way to start off, because Triple H was not playing no games. Because actually, the funny thing, TW, was when NXT Takeover was going on, ROH competed against NXT that same night. They had a show at the Brooklyn Playground, at the Brooklyn Yankees Playground area. And they did an ROH kind of like Forbidden Door, if you will. But anyway, neither here nor there. But the opening contest, TW, for NXT Takeover, so this way everybody can, ingratiate. Yes, thank you. They can ingratiate the atmosphere. They can feel that aura of NXT. What a way to start the first NXT Takeover in Brooklyn. And you can't take this away from them, was Tyler Breeze against Jushin Thunder Liger. Triple H ain't playing no games. He was, he's a fan of wrestling all over the world. He scouts, and he got Jushin Thunder Liger to do a one-time only spot for NXT Takeover Brooklyn. So what a way. It's like that quiz I said. You can't take away Tito Santana and Matt Bourne starting off the WrestleMania franchise. They were the first match. So with the NXT Takeover Brooklyn, the first people to start it was Tyler Breeze and Jushin Thunder Liger. So TW, what say you? Because this is a great example of what you were talking about. That was a tip of the head
to the first Nitro, wasn't it?
No, that would be Flying Brian. But anyway, neither here nor there.
Pillman and Liger.
That's not that. But anyway.
Liger, you can't use Pillman. He's fucking dead.
No. You're going to make me lose my train of thought because, again, I'm going back to what you're saying with, the positives, and we go back to the positives and negatives of NXT makes you happy, but then the main roster makes you sad. And Tyler Breeze is a great example of this. But before you answer, I will say this because
dude,
no. Let me just say this. For Tyler Breeze, the gimmick was there, the potential was there, but he was there in NXT for a while before he got, let's say, graduated. It just he never made it to the status he was untapped potential. I could say that, but he never had that opportunity to, tap that potential. But Tyler Breeze, NXT Tyler Breeze was great. Main roster Tyler Breeze was normal. What's ATW about Tyler Breeze?
He was great. He was small though. Like, he's a guy who benefited from staying down there, right? Because if you bring him up, he's literally already in the ring, Tyler Breeze. Like, just because it wasn't time.
That's fucked up. It's funny too. So already in the ring.
It's true.
I know. I'm just saying.
So at the end of the day, it's better for him to stay there. Like, up until now, I feel like Gargano should have stayed there. We were talking about your NXT shirts. My NXT shirt says NXT for life, and it's Gargano's little smiley face gimmick on there. Like, some guys are just, they could have stayed there their whole career and it wouldn't have been a failure. It would have been, I get wanting more, and he dreamed of being an Intercontinental champion. Now he's a 2-time World Tag Team champion. That's great for him. And maybe it leads to him winning a U.S. title or Intercontinental title, because they already teased the Tommaso Ciampa Gargano split. So you still could do that and kind of recreate history of NXT on the main roster. I was thinking about that the other day when Adam Pearce was talking to Seth Rollins on a Raw a couple weeks back, and I thought, these guys have to look at each other and go, dude, we were in front of 200 people for Ring of Honor. Now we're the world is watching us on a backstage segment right now. Like, it's gotta feel good. Which, by the way, I gotta pull a Nate Matson, if you will. It's an inside joke. If Travis is listening, he'll get it. Travis sends me a picture that Adam Pearce posted on Instagram or something, and it was a card from the Wayne Ford Civic League back in November of 1998. And who was the second match on the card? It was the Battle of Los Rudos, Rico Rodriguez versus Calavera Cortez. And Reckless Youth, you have to know who Reckless Youth is. He's a Jersey guy. Do you know who that is? He did some ECW stuff. Tom Carter, the Reckless Youth.
Well, he might have had a different name in ECW. I don't remember.
He was a little dude, and he wore jeans. He looked like Raven, the gear. Right. He did it before Raven, and real good dude. He's my Facebook friend. We became buddies back then, and I wrote on the post because Travis ended up tagging me in it after sending the screenshot, and I go, if my memory serves right, this is a very young, very long-haired scrap iron. Don't blink. And I go, I don't remember if me and Rico were feuding at the time or if we were wrestling in a light heavyweight tournament like that. And Adam Pearce loved it. So that dude might remember Los Rudos for 1 second. I don't know. I've always been happy to see that dude make it. We were not buddies. I didn't really know him. He was coming in as I was leaving the business. And I just know, I said to Travis, I go, it's cool that he kept that flyer. And it kind of shows you why he made it. Because the guy like Jericho did something that I think is awesome. And if I had to do it again, I would do it. He wrote down every one of his matches in a notebook. Like, he could have flamed out in 1 year. It would have been all a waste of time. But instead, he wrote a book because he kept track of every one of his matches for the entire 30-year career. And those are guys that were just...
That's dedication.
That's dedication. That's determination. You're determined to go there. And I still hold out for the day that Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis wrestle each other, whether it's at SummerSlam, WrestleMania, whatever, so they can get that one match in a WWE ring.
Never say never. But anyway, let's say about this opening match for Takeover Brooklyn between Jushin Thunder Liger and Tyler Breeze. We knew that Liger was going to win. Tyler Breeze was going to do the right thing with Best for Business and take the loss because, again, you got a legend coming in from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Liger was the Dick Clark of wrestling. He was wrestling for like 40 years. He looked like he never aged, and he was still wrestling at a very, fast pace. He was still wrestling at a very great. He was doing what Ray's
doing now.
Yeah. What's say about this
and
match?
The thing is, because it was a one-off,
Mhm.
you can't have Liger lose, but you're still giving Breeze the rub. You're the first match. You're with Liger. I don't think it was a surprise. I think it was advertised.
It was advertised, yeah.
Special edition. And if you have Liger lose, then what you're telling all those guys we talked about earlier with all that pride, no one else is coming in to do it. Because like James Storm did it eventually, where he came in, but they wanted to hire him and he turned them down because he wanted to stay in Georgia for Impact or Nashville, wherever. But James Storm understood he had to lose. I think he lost to Samoa Joe too, didn't he? Wasn't he like a challenge to?
I can't remember every NXT Wednesday show. That's your department.
I know, but he only came out one time and he wrestled somebody as a surprise.
I'm just saying that's your department. Just go.
Anyways, Liger's a little different than James Storm. Liger wasn't trying to get signed to NXT, and James Storm was potentially going to. But you have to put him over. It's a sign of respect. It's a nice. I still think it's a nod to the first Nitro because the first match is Liger, even though it's the 10th NXT it's the 6th NXT Takeover. But the first Brooklyn and the first one that they reused the name. It was NXT Brooklyn, NXT Chicago. Wasn't there an NXT New York too?
Same thing. It was in
Brooklyn and New York were two different shows.
It was two different shows because that New York one was the takeover before WrestleMania.
Right, but I'm saying it wasn't called.
No, I'm answering your question. It was NXT New York, but it was before WrestleMania. This was NXT Takeover Brooklyn before SummerSlam. So I'm just saying.
And this is the first NXT show that got put with the like that week of the big show.
This is what the 2-night spectacular was supposed to be before COVID and before the WrestleMania, greed, if you will, ruined the shit. It was supposed to be NXT on Saturday and WWE on the Sunday. That was the way it was supposed to be.
I don't recall how Breeze lost, but I know that he lost in a way that was good. It didn't bury him. He didn't lose to a 100-year-old man. And I will say this: there's a lot of dudes running around, not necessarily the Japanese guys, more so the Mexican guys that wear that mask and outfit that ain't the same guy. It's I'm talking about year 20. That if that's not Juice and Liger, he's definitely the dude's dad because that's a weird body. It's the male version of Asuka, and he has it. Which, by the way, Asuka is in the front row, but she's got a different name. I never knew that until I was watching this.
Yeah, well, Asuka was the WWE trademark name, but she came in on a different name. But anyway, neither here nor there. So with that being said, we're going to move on to TW because, again, another of the positives, between the positives and the negatives of the NXT that makes you happy and then the main roster that makes you sad was that Triple H put an onus on the tag team division. So again, I said with the PW Hustle, in the PW Hustle suites, we're going crazy for Enzo and Big Cass. We can't forget American Alpha. We can't forget the Hype Bros, even with Zack Ryder and what was his name, Mojo. But the tag team titles were on the line, and I knew that this team was not going to make it on the main roster, but they were just perfect for NXT purposes. The Vaudevillains, Aiden English, and what was this guy? Simon Gotch, against another team that probably might have had untapped potential, but but Alexa Bliss just kind of like, she was the main star. You knew she was the Shawn Michaels and they were the Marty Jannetty, and that's
Buddy Murphy's the Shawn Michaels. She can be the scary sheriff.
Buddy Murphy wasn't Buddy Murphy until he gained some weight, took the steroids, and got big. But anyway, Blake and Murphy were the NXT Tag Team Champions. But again, TW, I'm saying that Triple H put an onus and was prioritizing bringing back the feeling like you and I have for tag team wrestling. Again, their division was way better than the main roster because I was more invested on an NXT tag team title match than the WWE SmackDown tag team title match and all that stuff. What's about the tag team
this show is when they made the announcement. William Regal said the Dusty Rhodes Classic was going to be starting up, and tag team. Dude, listen, man, they had 1 hour a week and somehow had the best women, the best tag team, the best world title matches. They didn't even have the North American Championship yet, which until Uba Thurman or whatever the hell this guy's name is won it.
Uba Femi.
Yeah, that guy. It was
where the hell you get Uma Thurman from? What the fuck?
Him and that Tony D'Angelo, they're just garbage. Put it back on guys like, I would even like the dude that just worked Randy Orton, the Tyler Ruff II, or whatever that guy's name, the one that was NXT North American champion that took it from Gargano.
Oh, okay. Now
Leo Ruff. Leon Ruff. The second version of him.
That Steve Urkel looking motherfucker. You want him? I'd rather have Uncle Femi.
The Swerve Strickland off the gas. That guy I'm talking about.
Oh, Levon Evans. Oh.
What's his name?
Levon Evans or something.
Leon.
Yeah.
The one that did the Fatal 4-Way with fucking Ridge Holland won it. Ugh. But you got
keep it with 2015, not the present, man.
It's good shit is what I'm saying. The tag team thing. I didn't even know. I'm gonna do spoiler alert. I didn't even know the Vaudevillains were tag team champions. I knew Buddy Murphy and Blake were, and I thought they must have won them back. I think Blake and Murphy were.
No. This was a program on NXT Wednesdays because the Vaudevillains got multiple opportunities at Blake and Murphy, but the problem, Reflectionites, was because of Alexa Bliss interfering, Blake and Murphy kept retaining the titles. But this was the Vaudevillains' last chance, TW, and the Vaudevillains had a caveat. They had an insurance policy, and who was that insurance policy, Reflectionites?
Your favorite female wrestler of all time, Blue Pants.
It was not my favorite, but it was.
Wasn't she NXT or Impact?
I don't know if it was Impact. She was ROH and
Indie. Okay,
she was indie. She was ROH and then she went to AEW. But Blue Pants was an indie darling, TW. So I wasn't a fan of Blue Pants. The music sucked because it was the Price is Right theme song. But again, neither here nor there. You know, that's nitpicking on my end. But TW, what say you again with this tag team extravaganza kind of match?
The Vaudevillains, when I saw them on NXT, I thought, wow, this is cool. Like the intro, the black and white, the throwback to like Charlie Chaplin shit. They look like they were fucking stepped out of a time warp to come here. But the second you're in the bright lights of SmackDown and Raw, you just knew, like, yeah, this. And luckily for Aiden, he got to be Rusev Day announcer, and now he turned that into an announcing gig for NXT. Or I keep saying NXT, TNA, whatever the fuck. But that Gotch guy, I think, was a victim of the Me Too in there, whatever, the Speak Out, or whatever the wrestling version was.
No, he beat the shit. Well, he got fired for beating the shit out of Enzo Amore, from what I remember, and then he just got released, and then he's just been an indie guy.
Enzo in WWE?
Yeah.
Enzo was supposed to be the toughest guy in the fucking room, and he got. I didn't know that.
He quarreled with Enzo. He didn't like Enzo. Again, neither here nor there, but I've seen him. I've seen him on.
Isn't Enzo the one Roman pulled the bus over and made him get off of it?
Again, he has a checkered past, if you will, in the locker rooms. But again, neither here nor there. But we got
you let him in on your train, though.
Hell no. You'll let him in on the Diddy train.
Look behind him and go, I want you first.
It's 2025, and we're going back to children's decorum here. What are you gonna?
Yeah.
But TW, I'll say this again. I have to always go back with the positives and negatives. We knew that the Vaudevillains were perfect for NXT, the atmosphere. Blake and Murphy, perfect for the NXT atmosphere, perfect for the tag team division. Again, you could have stories with multiple tag teams here. But again, because of the Vince McMahon era, because of his style, he doesn't like tag team wrestling. This is what happens. So, again, Buddy Murphy, he had mediocre success with the Cruiserweight Championship. He had mediocre success being an underling to Seth Rollins, but, he had to leave to gain more. And he's in AEW right now. And maybe he might come back to WWE.
He gain more.
You gain experience. You gain,
already in the ring. The House of Black. That's what happens on Wednesday night. No,
see, you're such a homer. You're such a homer that you can't. You have these WWE beer goggles right now.
Are you kidding? I just watched Brody King lose to Ricochet.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. This guy was a monster when they bring him in. Now he's jobbing to Ricochet, the black hole of charisma. Who, by the way, then loses to Darby Allin or Ospreay. Somebody small.
Again, neither here nor there, Reflectionites. TW just loves those beer goggle WWE glasses. But anyway, I want to lump in two things here, TW, with two matches because both of them were debuts of certain people. One debut was Samoa Joe. The other debut was Apollo Crews. And of course, they got their wins against stalwarts. One was Ty Dillinger. You might know him right now, Reflectionites, as Sean Spears. And the other was the professor's favorite NXT guy, Baron Corbin, who had so much untapped potential, but he just, you know what it is? He succeeded in the main roster because he did what he was told. If he had to be the bum, he was the bum. If he had to be the king, he was the king. If he had to be the commissioner or Raw general manager, he did it to the best of his abilities. And people just did not like him. But I'll say this, I'm a Baron Corbin fan, TW, but Baron Corbin, again, he lives the gimmick. On Twitter, he just goes after people. If you troll him, he'll troll you back. So he ain't afraid of it. But again, he sometimes comes off as a prick, showing off, flashing the money and all that stuff. So I don't think people felt sorry that he got released. I felt sorry. I was just like, there was just so much there. And in the Triple H regime, if you will, TW, I think Baron Corbin could have been an Intercontinental Champion, could have been the U.S. Champion, for a long period of time, and could have been a top contender to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. So what say you, TW? Nestle all these people: Apollo Crews, Ty Dillinger, Sean Spears, Samoa Joe, and Baron Corbin all into one.
I like I'm happy for Samoa Joe because he was another guy that I did not like, but when they released him and then he came back and then they ended up letting him, he's a Kurt Angle situation where it was his health that they let him go. I think the same thing with Keith Lee. It was like, look, man, you guys got to get help. That was a scratch. Anyways, of all these guys, Sean Spears, he's Cody's buddy. I think Sean Spears is happier now being an NXT, being a guru, and he probably is really a guy in the back teaching the young guys, whatever. I still think he has the potential to make another run to the main roster, especially as Sean Spears. But those guys, Sean Spears loses to Apollo Crews, was shocking to me because it was almost
shocking.
like
you had to give the rub to the person making the beat. Oh,
how he lost it already in the ring, Ty Dillinger, right? But he had the better intro, so it was good. It was a competitive match, but he just warrior slammed and standing moonsaulted him, and I'm like, fuck, he won with that? I remember looking at my TV and saying, he won with that? Thinking, what? That's a squash to me. And then Samoa Joe taps out Corbin, and hindsight, yeah, I could see him tapping out, but Corbin was getting kind of a push. And one thing I will say about Corbin, the vignettes they were showing for him, to set up this match, a lot of people don't realize, man, because he had a weird body, and I'm pretty sure people shamed him on the internet for it, right? But much like Michael Strahan, these dudes were ginormous when they played football, and both of them slimmed down and are in better shape now than they were when they played in the NFL. That's pretty respectable because the life expectancy of the NFL linemen, offense and defense, I want to say it's the obviously there's some that live longer and some that die sooner, but it's 5 years after retirement they die because they're still eating to weigh 350 pounds and play football. But they're not playing football, so they end up becoming 450 pounds and get heart disease and die. And
is that from the Food and Drug Association kind of articles?
No, dude, that's like a statistic. You know how they always attack wrestling for concussions? The NFL gets attacked for all the deaths they have after retirement. It's the CTEs and all that stuff. Yeah, the CTEs are for everyone now. But the by the way, I read today the NBA ratings are down 48% from 2012.
Again, that's a little bit of a misnomer and misleading.
Is that TNT's ratings, or is that the NBA channel ratings? Or?
It is, but the reasoning is not the same. Again, LeBron's getting older, Steph's getting older, Durant's getting older, so we know they're gonna retire soon. So again, the NBA, just like when Jordan retired, you're trying to find the next big thing. So once the next big thing comes up,
the black guy with the Greek name, Giannis.
Giannis. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
They'll be all right. It's just that they got to be consistently in the NBA finals.
I was stunned to read that, and it said the other three leagues.
There's two reasons. They're trying to find the next person, but of course they're taking too many threes. But again, neither here nor there. But let's get back into this. Let's put a bow on the. Let's put a bow on.
So it's a nice debut for both Apollo Crews and Samoa Joe. I think Apollo Crews looks exactly the same 10 years later as he did there. I'm stunned he's never been one of the cuts, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean
I think Apollo Crews needs to go to AEW.
Yes,
he just needs that fresh. He needs a fresh coat of paint.
So while we were watching it, because my girlfriend Tony watched it with me, she kind of Googled him because I used those two as examples actually in this match. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about was that specifically that match. I told her, I said, and I'll say AEW has more of these guys. I said NXT when it was black and gold, you had a lot of guys that were guys like Shawn Spears who came up a kid watching wrestling, then did indie wrestling, and then made it to WWE wrestling and then AEW and back here. I go, then you got guys like Apollo Crews, and I said to her, and I don't know if he's one of them. I said, but his look, he at least tells me he was something in another sport. And he was. That motherfucker played soccer. And I wouldn't have thought that by looking at his body. But he played soccer. I want to say he also played for the Arizona Cardinals, or at least was sniffing the NFL or something like that. And I said, Apollo Crews is good. Like, I think Apollo Crews is a great worker. He just has no charisma. Like, it is absolutely invisible, right? And but he smiles and he does like you said. He found Kofi Kingston's accent and took it and became the Black Panther with that big tall dude that got released, Azil, Admiral Azil, whatever. Anyhow,
but you agree he needs a new coat of paint, and I think he needs AEW right now.
And but the thing is, she looked him up, and he did do Ring of Honor, and he got trained by Big Cat.
Remember, his name wasn't Apollo Crews. His name was Uhaa Nation.
Because he got nicknamed that in college, I believe it was. And So, end of the day, he is one of the guys that I think is what made NXT tick, is guys like Adam Cole, Gargano, and Bailey, and AJ Lee, and MJF, guys, he's not there yet, that were kids getting autographs from the CM Punks and the Bret Harts and the Shawn Michaels and went on to be a wrestler. You'll never, ever, with the exception of Kurt Angle, you will never, ever convince me otherwise that guys that grew up fans make better wrestlers than guys that they pluck that fucking whatever, that WWE. You hear that AEW neckbeards? I am criticizing the WWE. That fucking stupid thing where they get all these people from other sports.
It only lasts for a week, Reflectionites and the AEW neckbeards. It only lasts
2025. It's a new shoe. You paint a coat of paint. But all these athletes they get from these other sports where I don't even know who they are.
You mean the Nile deal kids? Yes, I know. The Nile deals.
What are they called?
The NIL.
Yeah, initiative or whatever they call it. They all fade away. One of the guys is that other wrestler guy. His brother just got released too. He was in that catch. There's no catch, whatever the hell. The rip off of the Blackpool Combat Club, whatever the fuck they call it, with Regal's son. What's the guy's name? Gabe Stevenson.
Gabe Stevenson. Yeah.
Yeah. They thought he was going to be the next Kurt Angle, the next this, the next that. Kurt Angle is the absolute. He's in the conversation for one of the best ever. But he's like, it's insane how he took to wrestling for not growing up a wrestling fan. Everyone else, they grew up, they know what they like, and they trained to do it better to make people like them. And that's what NXT was. That's what I think AEW is. Just the problem with AEW is everyone has the same match. And if they had someone, apparently they have agents, but they don't. Someone just asked either Tom Pritchard, someone got asked why wrestling is not as good now as it was when we were kids. And his answer, I expected some bitter fucking whatever old wrestler who's mad that he's not relevant anymore to be the opposite of what Triple H said recently, where he said, hey man, Everyone bitches about new music when it comes out too, but wrestling today isn't what it was back then. It changes, and what people like now isn't what people like then. Like, he defended the modern era of wrestling, as he should. And I thought the guy was going to bury it. And he said the reason wrestling was better when we were doing it is because we all watched everybody else's matches to make sure we didn't do the same thing. That's what I did in the 90s. That's what everyone was doing in the early 2000s. Now, I swear to you, I am not lying. The first 4 matches at the first AEW show I went to, they all 4 did the exact same spots. It was like watching a tryout where everyone was told, go do this match. And one of them was a fucking tag team match and still did all the same spots. Everything was the same. Obviously, there were differences. But what I'm telling you is, as someone that did it, I watched it going, they already did that in the last match. And then by the 3rd match, I'm like, they already did that in the last 2 matches. And then the 4th, super kicks for everyone. If AEW got someone to stop them from doing that, they would be awesome.
I will be fair on this, because I want to lump it back to NXT, because again, there is a negative of NXT in my humble opinion, even in the black and gold superior era. Is, I'm not saying that every match, the spot thing, I'm not saying every match, even for 5 matches, they did the same spots. But one of the biggest caveats or critiques I could give it, detriments, yes, is the false finishes. Yeah. It was too many. Every match had too many false finishes. Every match did not need to go an extra 5 or 10 minutes. Right. So NXT hammered that shit down, just like ROH hammered that shit down. TNA hammered that shit down. So, by the time, because Adam Cole was worse with this shit, because that his matches were great, but them fucking false finishes were really bad. I'm just saying that again. I'm just being objective here.
But there's 2 people to blame for that.
Who?
Savage and Steamboat. Everybody wants to recreate that match, dude. I am surprised by 2 things in wrestling. One, that someone hasn't gotten with someone else and recreated the Steamboat Savage match spot for spot. And just to see if anyone
probably they did in the indies, but you got to find somebody with
indies. I mean, at a big show, and just obviously other than the character stuff like threatening the bell and all that, but the finishes at the end, people try to do it with them stupid rollover.
The only one that's creating spots of their heroes is CM Punk, because he creates a lot of spots with Bret Hart matches. He's done that numerous times. But
that's fine. But like me and Rico,
I'm just giving you. I know what you're saying.
You know what match I stole was Owen versus Bret.
Mm-hmm.
We did almost all the spots. We did them in different times, but it's okay to do that, right? But the problem with the false finishes, and AEW does it, NXT still does it, is it's not like a false finish that's a small package or a roll up or a crucifix. That's fine. Mm-hmm. It's when you hit your finisher 17 times, and then they finally kick out because you did it 5 times in a row. That's to blame Macho Man and Warrior, because they did that. They kicked out of each other's finish until the Warrior just fucking buried him after he took 5 elbows off the top rope and kicked out. But that's the stuff that's a problem, is when don't call it a finisher if everyone and their brother's kicking out of it. Don't.
It is what it is. That's just I guess I'm just being fair here to you. But let's get back to this, because again, NXT Takeover Brooklyn 1, Reflectionites had a double main event, and again, Triple H put an emphasis on this very importantly, because again, when it was the main event times, especially for the women's title and the world title, Triple H wanted to do something very special. He went back to the 80s or back to the 70s with the tradition of turning down the lights and having the house lights on the ring to showcase the champion and the challenger. And let's talk about the ladies championship, TW, which is still, after 10 years, I don't care what anybody says, one of the top 5 greatest women's matches of all time. It probably might even beat Lita and Trish again to a degree. But anyway, neither here nor there. But we have to talk about Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes Moné, even though TW will never call her Mercedes Moné here. But I'm just giving the logistics, against Bayley. And again, this was it kind of felt like this was Bayley's last shot kind of scenario here, because She couldn't get that brass ring, if you will. Reflectionites or TW was because again, Bayley came down because again, this was a couple of weeks after American Dream Dusty Rhodes passed away, and Bayley wanted to, honor Dusty Rhodes with the armbands and stuff like that. And of course, Sasha Banks was Triple H again. He wanted to make Takeover feel like WrestleMania, gave Sasha Banks that limo entrance and all that stuff with all the simps, if you will, Reflectionists, all those black men and shit like that. Neither here nor there. But it was a big fight field, TW, and Bayley got the win. And of course, women's wrestling. This match epitomized women's wrestling and took it to the moon. Not Cameron Grimes, but if you will. So TW, what say you about this double main event? Firstly, with the women's title match.
Well, I got some bad news and some good news.
Give me the bad news.
Bad news is this match is not as good as people remember it. Live,
I was there. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I just said live, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Watching it back, you see the warts, you see the botches, you see whatever. But the good news is they finished strong, and they finished in a way that was emotional, and the crowd was along for the ride, and they were emotional. So I think one of the reasons why it's remembered so fondly is the fact that it ended the way it ended, and that Bayley finished her story, basically. And I think for both of them, I think this is after Becky kind of stole the show out of nowhere because I remember they had a 4-way, and Becky came out with that steampunk gear and all that, looking completely different than she had darker hair. And
she was not in the priorities of the 4 Horsemen. She was on the lowest on the totem pole.
Right.
She didn't even steal the show of what you're talking about, even in the fatal 4-way.
There was just that one moment where all of a sudden Becky was more popular than she was before that, and I think it was that 4-way. So I feel like these two, if not for sure Bayley, are the lesser of the 2 4 horsewomen. And so Charlotte and Becky coming out, and the 4 of them, they basically did the Madison Square Garden curtain jerk, but in Brooklyn, and as girls, where they're all rivals but friends, and they're all hugging on each other or whatever. But it was a good match. But I still don't think it ain't the Steamboat and Savage of women. And how dare you say it's better than the fucking female goat, Trish?
I'm giving you the logistics. It's the top 5 women's match of all time. It might be ahead of Lita and Trish and all that stuff. It is the truth. It might be ahead.
It's not even ahead of Moolah and Wendy Richter Screwjob.
Jesus Christ. Beer goggles right now.
Who is that behind you getting choked? Is that Ricochet or
that's
the
Ricochet,
scissor guy?
That's Ricochet.
That is Ricochet?
Yeah.
So he went from getting punked out
happened a couple of weeks ago
to being a heel. Dynamite. Now he's a heel, but he's not even he's holding MVP's card now.
Mm-hmm. But again, neither here nor there. That's the present. We're talking about 10 years ago, TW. So let's close it out with the main event of NXT Takeover Brooklyn 1. And that is for the NXT. Well, I have to say one negative about NXT TW. I don't know if you'll agree with this.
You've already said like 5.
Well, again, but TW, on your TV screen, on your screen to the lower left, you have a better design of the NXT Heavyweight Championship. Is that correct?
I had what?
To the left of your screen, that's the NXT title, right? That's a better
the second one.
That's a better design. But the first one that Finn Balor, Jesus Christ, he dropped his dildo. But anyway, neither here nor there, Reflection. But that first design of the NXT title was god awful. I don't know what Triple H was thinking.
You know what it reminded me of?
What did it remind you of?
The old belt buckles I had in Detroit in the hood that said my name, and it was TOM, and then I had the other one where you could change the letters around and it said Thomas, and the S was a money sign. That was big. Yeah. But that N, big X, T, what I actually considered it, and this one's not much different right here. It, for me, the original X Division title, I felt like it was ripping that belt off. But I absolutely, and this one has the N and the T too, but it's not shaped like NXT, Like it's just like I don't like the North American title belt. I like the girls one because it's smaller, but it's so big and ugly. I don't like the shape of it at all.
Again, NXT can't be perfect no matter what. But anyway, neither here nor there. But
your favorite is this with the rainbow colors added to it. The
one before 2.0. I like that.
That's
design.
that one. That's that one.
No, that's 2.0 with the rainbow.
Yeah.
I want the black and gold.
Yeah. I meant this is the second one.
Yeah.
The first one's that ugly ass NXT like a rectangle, and then this one is the one. I think Bobby Roode had that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby Roode had it, and Shinsuke had it, and all that stuff. But anyway, TW, let's talk about it. It was a ladder match for the NXT Championship. Finn Balor against Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens was already on his way to the main roster. So he was actually pulling double duty around this time.
He's been there 10 years?
Who?
Kevin Owens has been on the main roster for 10 years?
Both Finn Balor and Kevin Owens have been there for 10 years.
Wow. I think that's a success.
Well, it's a long.
They're right in front of me on the wall.
It's a long, fruitful career in WWE. But like I was saying before, I lost my train of thought. Kevin Owens was pulling double duty. He actually pinned John Cena, during the U.S. Open Challenge. So we knew that he was kind of like doing the honors for Finn Balor. So he was not going to become a double champion and all that stuff. So he was going to lose the title no matter what. So TW, what say you about this? Again, we knew Kevin Owens was graduating to the main roster, but Finn Balor was going to be the face of NXT. And I will say this: when I was there live, I was amped up for the ladder match. But I'll say this. When I saw Kevin Steen against Sami Zayn, a.k.a. El Generico in Ring of Honor, when they did the ladder match, that was beautiful. That was art. It was an artist's masterpiece. It had a level of violence, but had also a level of storytelling. I was expecting a little bit the same thing, but again, I forgot. This is still the WWE mantra. So they don't do the ladder matches in the same context like ROH, or let's say in the same context of Indies, where it could go balls to the wall. So they held back. I understood it for a degree. I would say this ladder match, I don't want to use the word underwhelming, but it could have been better in my humble opinion. What say you, TW, about this main event ladder match?
I think you have to do it. I don't think they hold back as much as you imply they do, because some of the most
I was there. I'm just saying I was there live. No, I was there live, but I'm just saying I expected a little bit more. It felt a little bit underwhelming to me, especially what I saw with Kevin Owens or Steen did.
But I think you have to do it holding back a little bit, because if you do all the great spots, then you can't make it better the next time you have one and the next time. And I think that's the problem with TLC is, I mean, at this point now, people are doing one of two things: repeating spots or doing something so fucking ridiculously dangerous. Like, I'm certain there's a few TLC matches where the guys that got carted out of there got carted out for real. That wasn't part of the show. Like, Edge going through that table was probably part of the show to get him out of there to protect him because somebody else won it. But other guys, like I think Ricochet and Logan Paul, after they took that bump, they were never in the ring again. Because the fuckers almost died.
To a degree,
So I think they do crazy stuff, but I think what's the old saying? It's what I said about the 1 hour format. You got to leave them wanting more. And you got to do just enough to satisfy, but make them hungry in an hour like it's Chinese food. Like, fuck, man, I want more. And then they'll tune in again the next time. And I think all those takeovers got progressively better and better and better. I mean, dude, the match with Ciampa and Gargano, where they're fucking bumping off of rigs and whatever, got crazy and off the stage and all that. So I do think they take crazy indie bumps, but I just think they pick and choose when they do them so that it's not all crazy bumps. Like you said, you need a little storytelling.
You need a little storytelling, but again, it's NXT. It was TakeOver Brooklyn. It was their WrestleMania, if you will, Reflectionites. Again, I expect a little bit more, but again, neither here nor there. But I want to say something here, TW. You can either defend it or have your own take on this. But there is a debate, and we got to talk about the theme here, the positives and the negatives. and that's Finn Balor. Finn Balor in NXT is way different than Finn Balor on the main roster. Finn Balor, even in NXT TW, was coming in off of his rock and roller character in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And what I mean by that, TW, is you didn't see all the matches in New Japan in the Tokyo Dome, but being the Demon, where he paints his body and then he has like the character change and, you know, the psychological advantage and all that stuff. When he was the rock and roller Prince Devitt, if you will, TW, he painted himself like Venom. He painted himself with other colors and all that stuff, just to, you know, fuck with the wrestlers and all that stuff. Psychological warfare. Technically, for NXT purposes, the Demon was kind of, I don't want to say Undertaker-ish, but it was supposed to be so psychological, and he goes into another level. Finn Balor is like Clark Kent, and the Demon is his Superman, or whatever the case may be, TW. So, right. But we have never seen Demon Finn Balor even reach the heights of success as it did in NXT. So what say you, TW, about Finn Balor before we close out of here?
When he won the Universal title, wasn't he the Demon?
Just not in the same context, in the same light. He did win it, but it didn't feel special. Because I think sometimes, yeah.
It was like House of Lights. That's what I like better about NXT versus main roster. I hate that they wrestle in a fully lit arena. I hate it. I like the ring being lit up and the crowd being kind of faded out, so it feels like a big event. We've talked about it with the old World Class or NWA stuff or Madison Square Garden Fed stuff. It felt like boxing used to look like that. You didn't see that fucking ugly fat fuck smoking cigars in the audience unless it was front row. But when they did the far away cam, you just saw two dudes beating the shit out of each other in a well-lit ring. That was it. And so I think, first of all, I think it probably takes too long. And I'm surprised they didn't do this, where they would make a shirt that just had that print on it. So he would wrestle with the shirt so he didn't have to take all day to airbrush it on there and just paint the face. But I don't know. It's been a minute since Edge was the last time he painted up like that?
I think
the last staples to the head.
No, the last time he painted himself Demon was against Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. That was 2019.
He didn't do it when it was the Judgment Day was attacking him all the time.
Never did it. Never.
I thought he did it in that.
He did it twice. It was Bobby Lashley, and then he did Roman Reigns, and that was it. That was 2020.
Man, he didn't do Hell in the Cell with the fucking Demon.
No,
that's a wasted out. That's fucking untapped potential.
That's what I'm saying. You got the Demon in NXT.
He never did it with Bray Wyatt.
He didn't do it with the Fiend. He didn't do it.
Jeez. He should be doing it with the Final Resolution.
Well, you're fantasy booking, but again, you agree with me? Again, the negatives and the positives of the NXT to the main roster is you did not.
I'm happy for him because 20 years ago, which is funny because we're talking about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, he wouldn't have a shot of us talking about him in 2025 from 2014 and still being there. He's another guy. I'm happy for this guy right here. This is another guy. I fucking loved him in NXT. I'm happy. Like, the best thing that happened to him was getting to be with Judgment Day with Finn Balor, because like Gargano, Ciampa, these guys, if they need to be in that mob mentality, or otherwise no one's going to fear them if they're just one little tiny, like Tyler Breeze, like I said. But Tyler Breeze and Fandango, what do they call it? Fashion Police or some shit?
Breezango.
That shit was good. That was good shit. And Pretty Deadly is that now. So it's just there's a place for a lot of these guys, and it's mob rule is the perfect thing for these guys. And I think the Demon character would work with Judgment Day, but again, it's so time consuming that I like what he does now instead. Just wears all black with that purple hint to it and all that, and still wears the Finn Balor shirt sometimes instead of the Judgment Day shirt. So it's still dark, but it's not that. And I did hear that he did all those different creations. I wonder if they had to get the copyright permission to do, because it's Carnage. There's no other way to slice it. He's Carnage. But maybe by calling him the Demon, they get away with it not being Carnage copyright. But if he did Venom, it would be obviously Venom.
Well, Demon for WWE, they own that shit, or either he or WWE partners. But with the New Japan shit, he had to get permission, or they paid it off. Well, anyway, neither here nor there. So TW, let's put a bow on this. This is your favorite time period. This is the black and gold. So, did you get nostalgic? Did you cry a little bit? Because now, I hate that you might be comparing the Wednesday NXT Network NXTs to the Tuesday CW Network NXTs, or are you getting that feeling back when you're seeing the Shawn Michaels CW Network NXT?
I love NXT again. I sometimes feel like there's too many people there. I'm glad it's only 2 hours. The best thing that's happened in wrestling in the last fucking 6 months was Monday Night Raw getting rolled back to 2 hours. And I heard they're fucking both going to be 3 hours after January, which is fuck. It's just too much, man. And I don't know that I would want NXT to go back to 1 hour. And if they did, I would want them to have 2 1-hour shows instead of one. Because like I said, they got so much stuff. But there's something for everybody there now. And again, I don't like Uma Thurman. You do. I didn't like Odyssey Jones. You do.
Oh, God damn you.
But I really, 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 I said it on a couple weeks ago. I really, really, really love that promo that Lexus King, fucking whatever the fuck his dumbass name. I hope he's Brian Pillman Jr. soon. But there's so much good stuff happening there. That guy that sits back studying with the glasses, I think he's one of them NIL guys. He clearly played sports somewhere. I like that guy. I fucking hate Hank and Tank, but other people like him. I hate those other 2 dudes that are with that fucking chick that gets beat up by
I don't watch NXT. I don't watch NXT religiously.
You know what I'm talking about? Jada Parker.
Jada Parker, yeah.
Those 2 guys with her are the fucking shits. Hank and Tank are the shits. Then they got a Japanese guy who I thought was tiny, and then when they did the tag team battle royal, he's fat as fuck. Like looks like Tenryu after a buffet tour. But there's some throwaways down there, but they still have good stuff. I don't even know who the fucking champion is there.
Trick Williams.
Oh, Trick. I like Trick. Oh, yeah. Trick and Ethan Page. I love both of those guys. I feel like they're both going to end up getting called up sooner or later. It's got Sean Spears. I love everything he does. He's made me like Travis. The guy that looks like Travis is with him.
Okay.
Bull Buchanan's kid, I think it is.
I don't know. Again, I don't watch NXT like that anymore. I don't.
Bull Buchanan's kid. He's been there for like 5 years.
I don't watch NXT like I did with
the other hillbilly fucking guy.
I'm telling you the real. I don't watch the NXT new ones. I watch it sporadically. I'm not like what I was religiously with the black and gold, watching it every Wednesday like you did.
It's better than 2.0. I can tell you that for sure.
I'll give it a chance. Maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, we close on episode 191 here. NXT Takeover Brooklyn edition from 2015 from the Barclays Center. So again, Reflectionites, we're getting back in the swing of things. I've got to think about what we're going to do, episodics, what ifs, movies, rivalries, and all that stuff. So I'll keep you on your toes, Reflectionites. I'll keep you on your toes. So TW, for the first of 2025, get out those socials so we can get out of here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say to A-Track, I was busting his chops on one of his little political posts over there, so I hope he doesn't take the stuff serious. I was having fun with him. I think he was having fun with me. So
it's always fun. It's always fun.
Water under the bridge. Yeah. But
he's very it's fun, but he's serious with his political points.
Oh, I'm sure I'm going to go back and find a video for me when his next response to me will be him going. But his favorite N-word, he'll start with that, and then he'll start fucking healing on me. But it's all in good fun. And next time I come to New York, A-Track better be a part of the trip. But you can, the Pro Wrestling Coalition Network sponsors us at PWC Network at podbean.com/probation, but not for real. Also, Hami Media Group at podbean.com. I thought we got kicked. Oh, Ray was joking when he said I got us kicked off Podbean because of copyrights. Also, HMG is at channelattitude.com. RX is at PW Reflection. I said Travis's name multiple times, at Nuts and VOELTZ Bolts, at Nuts and Bolts PW. Big raise on all all the internet stuff at Big Ray Hernandez. And every Wednesday, he does NXT Next Level live. And you can find me on X and Instagram at TommyWonder19 or on X and TikTok at The Tommy Wonder. Snapchat is #Wonder, Facebook.com/Tommy Wonder. And you can find Big Vito and Noel at the Big Vito brand on TikTok. You don't stop, at least until the end of January, unless there's a reprieve.
Who knows? But again, we can't tell the future, Reflectionites. We can't tell the future. But anyway, you can find me on the X at PWSOPROF. That's PWSOPROF. And if this gets uploaded, maybe it'll get uploaded in 2026 by A-Track Brown, that slowest motherfucker on the PWSO YouTube networks. Follow my brothers in arms, A-Track Brown, the king of the reactions at the #8, TRAC Brown. And of course, the man of the Wednesday locker room, the man of the infinite fringe, who's got all the documents right now on Trump, on Biden, on Kamala Harris, on, Marjorie Taylor Greene and all that stuff. AOC, he's got the documents on everybody. He's got even documents on Alex Jones. And that's Billy Ray Valentine at Obi-Wan You Know Me. And again, I'll keep you on your toes for what we do next time here at the PWR podcast at the Hami Media Group at Podbean.com. I'm the professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, WW88's own, the man who hasn't eaten shit in about 2 years right now. He better start eating shit in 2025, TW. Y'all got to get on your shit, man. You keep promising every goddamn episodic episode. You promise every goddamn what if episode. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. 2025, TW. Y'all better eat some shit right now. I'm saying it right now. Tell you guys. You got to eat some shit. Eat some shit for Dum Dum Duo.
Oh, eat some shit. Oh, yeah. I thought he meant really eat some shit. We talked about it last night. We're gonna do it soon. We're gonna.
I've heard that in 2024.
And this month is like 3 years since we done one, or 2 years since we done one.
I'm just saying, it's been 3 years. You've been saying for 3 years we're gonna do something. Do it.
Yeah.
25.
And I'm gonna figure out how to get this damn video on Rumble without recording it live over our shoulder and putting a behind the scenes footage view of it.
Neither here nor there. I'm the professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, TW. Tommy Wonder saying good night, and we'll see you next time here at the PWR podcast at the Hami Media Group at Podbean.com. Peace. The hell was that? Oh, you trying to do another fireworks?
No, it's fucking, that was whatever.
Blue pants. Blue pants.